Imagine this. You're sitting at your desk, staring at the screen, determined to push through. You tell yourself, if I can just grind out one more hour, I'll finish this project. I'll meet this deadline. I'll finally get ahead. But as the minutes pass, your focus slips. Your thoughts scatter. That spark of clarity you had at the beginning fades into fog. You push harder, but harder feels slower. Your energy leaks away. You're working, yes, but it's not the kind of work that produces results. It's work that drains. And yet in the culture we live in, this grinding effort is celebrated. We wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. We confuse hours with output, effort with effectiveness. But what if the secret to multiplying results isn't pushing longer, but pausing smarter? This is the paradox of microbreaks. Short, intentional pauses, just 5 minutes, sometimes even less, that reset your body, refresh your brain, and restore your energy. Breaks so small they seem insignificant, and yet when practiced regularly, they don't just add to productivity. They multiply it. The 5-minute reset can outstrip the hour-long sprint, because it transforms the quality of the next hour, the next task, the next decision. Micro breaks aren't about losing time. They're about creating momentum. Think about the way athletes train. No one expects a sprinter to run at top speed for an entire practice. They run in intervals, explosive bursts followed by rest. Why? Because the body needs recovery to perform at its peak. Muscles repair, energy systems reset, focus sharpens. Without rest, performance degrades. Yet in the workplace, we expect ourselves to be in sprint mode all day. We demand from our minds what we would never demand from our bodies, and the result is predictable: burnout, mistakes, sluggish progress. Micro breaks flip that script. They treat focus like the muscle it is, requiring cycles of exertion and release. Science backs this up. Studies on cognitive performance show that attention works in rhythms. The brain can sustain deep focus for bursts of time, but then it dips. If you ignore the dip, you don't power through. You slow down. You make more errors. Your creativity fades. But if you pause right at that dip, take even a few minutes to reset, you ride the rhythm back up. It's like catching a wave instead of fighting the current. That's why 5 minutes away from the desk can give you more clarity than another 30 minutes of forcing it. So what exactly is a micro break? It's not mindlessly scrolling your phone, which floods your brain with new stimulation. It's not zoning out in front of a screen, which doesn't let your nervous system reset. A micro break is intentional. It's designed to recharge specific systems: your vision, your posture, your breathing, your circulation, your mind. It's stepping away just long enough to interrupt fatigue without losing momentum. And here's the beauty. Micro breaks don't require elaborate planning. You don't need to book a vacation. You don't need an hour at the gym. All you need is 5 minutes and the willingness to pause with purpose. Let's explore some of the most powerful types. The first is the movement break. Sitting for hours is like putting your body in low power mode. Blood flow slows, joints stiffen, muscles shorten. Your brain feels it too. Less circulation means less oxygen, less energy. But stand up, stretch, shake out your limbs for just a few minutes, and the effect is immediate. You feel awake, alert, recharged. Researchers have found that even 2 minutes of light movement, walking to the water cooler, stretching your arms overhead, rolling your shoulders, improves circulation and boosts focus when you return. Think of it like hitting refresh on your body's software. Then there's the vision break. Most of us spend hours locked onto screens, eyes straining at close range. Over time, this creates what's called digital eye fatigue. Headaches, blurred vision, that gritty, tired feeling. The simple antidote? The 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. It relaxes the eye muscles, resets your focus, and keeps your vision sharp. It's astonishing how something so small can relieve so much tension. And it's a perfect example of a micro break, tiny in length, massive in impact. Another powerful reset is the breathing break. Stress builds quietly during long stretches of work. Shoulders tense, breathing becomes shallow, heart rate ticks upward. You don't always notice it, but your body does. That stress saps focus and patience, but pausing for just a few deep breaths resets the nervous system. Try this. Inhale through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale through your mouth for 6. Do this for 1 or 2 minutes, and you feel the shift. Calm spreads, clarity returns. It's like flushing out mental static so the signal comes through clean again. And then there are micro breaks for the mind. These are moments of deliberate mental detachment. Close the laptop, step outside, stare at the sky, listen to music, sketch a doodle. These are not wastes of time. They're like opening a window in a stuffy room. Fresh air floods in. When you return, ideas you couldn't grasp before suddenly click. That's because creativity thrives on contrast. When the mind steps away, it connects dots in the background. The breakthrough comes not when you hammer harder, but when you pause and let the mind breathe. Now here's the resistance you might feel. You might say, I can't afford to take breaks. I'll lose time. But the truth is, you can't afford not to. Without breaks, your hours stretch, but your results shrink. With breaks, your hours shorten, but your results multiply. It's not about how much time you sit at your desk. It's about how much of that time is sharp, focused, and effective. Micro breaks protect that effectiveness. They stop you from running on fumes. They ensure your energy compounds instead of drains. Think of a smartphone. You wouldn't expect it to run all day without recharging. You know if you push it too long, the battery doesn't just die, it degrades. Over time, it holds less and less charge. Your brain works the same way. Push it endlessly, and you're not just draining today's energy, you're reducing tomorrow's capacity. But give it regular microcharges, those 5-minute resets, and you extend its life, its output, its power. Micro breaks aren't interruptions, they're investments. There's another hidden benefit. Micro breaks train your brain to work with cycles instead of against them. You start noticing your natural rhythms, when your focus peaks, when it dips. You start aligning tasks with energy, instead of forcing energy where it's weakest. Over time, this builds self-awareness. You stop treating yourself like a machine and start operating like a human being. And ironically, that's what makes your results superhuman. Let's make this even more practical. Imagine a 2-hour block of work. Without breaks, your focus steadily declines. The first 30 minutes are sharp, the next 30 are scattered, the last hour is sluggish. By the end, you've spent 2 hours, but only 45 minutes of it were truly productive. Now add in micro breaks. You work for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute reset. Work another 25, reset again. Repeat. In 2 hours, you've worked the same amount of total time, but each session was sharp. Instead of one block of fading focus, you've created 4 bursts of high clarity. The difference in output isn't incremental, it's exponential. Some of history's greatest thinkers intuitively understood this. Charles Darwin worked in short, focused bursts, then took long walks in between. Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, countless writers, inventors, and scientists all used patterns of pause and reset. They knew that breakthroughs don't come from grinding endlessly. They come from rhythms of intensity and release. Micro breaks aren't a modern productivity hack. They're a return to what humans have always needed. The challenge today is giving yourself permission. In workplaces that idolize hustle, pausing feels rebellious. But rebellion is exactly what progress requires. Choosing micro breaks isn't laziness, it's strategy. It's declaring that results matter more than appearances, that effectiveness beats busyness, that your energy is not infinite, and protecting it is the smartest move you can make. The good news is, you don't have to overhaul your entire routine. You start small. You insert just 1 or 2 micro breaks into your day. You feel the difference immediately. Focus sharpens, stress lowers, energy rises. That positive feedback encourages more. Soon it becomes natural. You no longer see breaks as guilty indulgence. You see them as performance enhancers. And once you experience that shift, you'll never go back to endless grinding. Because you'll know the truth. 5 minutes well spent can do more than 5 hours poorly spent. Micro breaks are not just about productivity. They're about presence. They remind you that life isn't meant to be lived in a blur of tasks. It's meant to be felt, breathed, noticed. When you step outside for a micro break, you hear birdsong you would have missed. You feel sunshine on your skin. You taste water as if for the first time. These moments are not distractions. They are the texture of a life fully lived. They restore not just output, but humanity. So the next time you're tempted to grind longer, ask yourself, what if the best way forward is to step back? What if the secret to multiplying results isn't in the next hour of effort, but in the next 5 minutes of renewal? Micro breaks hold that secret. They are the smallest changes with the biggest payoffs. They are the hidden force that transforms time into results. And they are waiting for you to claim them, 5 minutes at a time. Think back to the times when you've surprised yourself with clarity. Maybe it was during a shower, while walking the dog, or as you drifted off to sleep. That moment where the answer you struggled for all day suddenly clicked into place. That's not coincidence. That's the power of stepping away. When you allow your mind micropauses, the subconscious connects ideas behind the scenes. Micro breaks recreate that process on purpose, during the day, without waiting for luck. They make insight reliable instead of random. One fascinating study showed that even breaks as short as 40 seconds looking at natural scenes improved focus. Just 40 seconds of green trees, a window view, or even a photograph of nature. The brain responds instantly. Another study on surgeons showed that short breaks during long procedures improved accuracy and reduced mistakes. If micro breaks can steady a surgeon's hand, imagine what they can do for your daily tasks. The human system is designed for rhythm, not constant strain. Let's explore different categories of micro breaks and how to use them strategically. We've talked about movement, vision, breathing, and mental resets, but you can personalize these to your needs. For example, if you work on creative tasks, use micro breaks to spark novelty. Step outside and notice one detail you've never paid attention to before: the shape of a leaf, the sound of traffic, the color of the sky. That single sensory spark can feed creative output when you return. If you work on analytical tasks, use micro breaks for clarity. Close your eyes and summarize to yourself what you just worked on, as if explaining to a friend. That mental reset prevents tunnel vision and forces clarity of thought. Micro breaks can also be social. A quick chat with a coworker, a laugh with a friend, even a simple text exchange can re-energize. Social connection is one of the deepest human needs, and ignoring it in the name of productivity backfires. 5 minutes of human warmth can recharge hours of focus. On the other hand, if you're overstimulated by noise and chatter, your micro break might need to be solitude. The trick is tuning in. Ask yourself, what do I most need right now? Movement, stillness, connection, silence. That awareness guides your break. Let's address another myth. Some people fear that once they take a break, they won't want to come back. That may be true if the break is unstructured, like falling into a scroll on social media. But when you set clear boundaries, 5 minutes, a single cup of tea, one breathing exercise, the return becomes natural. Your mind knows the pause is part of the process, not an escape from it. In fact, the return often carries eagerness, because you've given your brain the reset it craved. Here's another layer. Micro breaks are not just for the mind. They protect the body long term. Sitting without pause is linked to health issues from back pain to cardiovascular strain. But standing for a few minutes every half hour, stretching wrists and shoulders, looking away from screens, these prevent micro-injuries from accumulating. You're not just protecting productivity, you're protecting health. That's why micro breaks are not indulgence, they're maintenance. They extend the life of your career, your body, your energy. Think of pilots. Regulations require them to take scheduled breaks during long flights because constant attention without relief leads to mistakes. If the people flying planes need breaks, why wouldn't you? Think of musicians. They practice intensely but pause often, not only to rest fingers and voices, but to let the music sink in. The pauses are part of the performance. Think of chefs, pausing to taste, adjust, recalibrate. The pause is what ensures quality. In every high-performance field, breaks aren't secondary, they're integral. So how do you build micro breaks into your day? Start with structure. One of the simplest methods is the Pomodoro technique. 25 minutes of focus followed by a 5-minute break. After 4 cycles, you take a longer break. This is essentially micro breaks on repeat. But don't get hung up on the exact numbers. Some people focus best in 50-minute blocks, others in 15. The key is rhythm. Focus, pause, focus, pause. Another method is natural break tracking. Instead of setting timers, you notice when your focus dips. When reading the same line twice, when clicking aimlessly, when sighing heavily, that's the body's cue. Pause then. The break doesn't have to be scheduled. It just has to be intentional. Here's a powerful micro-break ritual you can adopt. Step 1. Stand up and stretch your arms wide. Open your chest. Step 2. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. Step 3. Look out a window or into the distance for 30 seconds. Step 4. Sip water slowly. That entire process takes less than 2 minutes, but it resets posture, breath, vision, and hydration all at once. It's like hitting a reset button on your system, and the return to work feels lighter, sharper, clearer. Now let's tackle the deeper mindset. Why do so many resist breaks? Because of guilt. We equate rest with laziness. We've been conditioned by hustle culture to believe that value equals visible effort. But output isn't about how busy you look. It's about what you produce. Micro breaks don't reduce output. They increase it. That guilt is misplaced. Think of it like sharpening an axe. If you swing endlessly without stopping, the blade dulls, and each strike takes more effort for less result. Pause to sharpen, and suddenly each strike is effortless and effective. Micro breaks are sharpening moments. Another obstacle is distraction creep. If you let breaks morph into long detours, you lose trust in the process. That's why boundaries matter. Choose micro breaks that refresh without hijacking. Scrolling social feeds may not qualify because it floods the brain with new stimulation and makes returning harder. Instead, choose low-input activities: breathing, stretching, stepping outside, doodling. These give the brain space instead of clutter. You'll know a micro break worked if you return to work feeling clearer, not foggier. Over time, micro breaks don't just help you in the moment. They train your brain for resilience. They remind you that exhaustion is not the only option. They show you that renewal can be fast, accessible, and repeatable. And once your brain learns this, it stops fearing fatigue. It knows recovery is always near. That confidence reduces stress even before the break begins. You carry the assurance that no matter how heavy the task, clarity is one pause away. Let's return to the metaphor of rockets. A rocket doesn't fire continuously at full blast. It fires in stages, with bursts followed by recalibration. Micro breaks are your recalibration stages. They ensure that the trajectory remains accurate, the systems remain stable, the energy remains sustainable. Without them, you might drift off course, run out of fuel, or break apart under strain. With them, you reach orbit, not just faster, but intact. Now picture your future self. Imagine 2 versions of you a year from now. One version grinds endlessly, skipping breaks, pushing through fatigue. That version is frazzled, burned out, less creative, less healthy. The other version has built a rhythm of micro breaks. That version is energized, clear, resilient, producing at a high level without collapse. The difference between those 2 selves isn't talent, it's rhythm. It's 5-minute resets, practiced consistently. Tiny choices that multiplied over time into enormous divergence. This is why micro breaks are more than productivity hacks. They are identity shifts. They mark the difference between someone who treats themselves as a machine and someone who treats themselves as a high-performing system. Machines wear down. Systems self-renew. The choice is yours. So tomorrow, try this. Choose one micro break to insert into your day. Just one. Maybe it's stepping outside for 5 minutes after an hour of work. Maybe it's closing your eyes and breathing deeply between meetings. Maybe it's stretching before you dive into emails. Do it. Feel the difference. Then repeat. Slowly add more. Watch as your energy compounds. Watch as your results multiply. Micro breaks are deceptively small. That's why so many ignore them. But the smallest hinges swing the biggest doors. The smallest sparks ignite the biggest fires. And the smallest pauses unlock the biggest results. 5 minutes. That's all it takes to shift from drained to recharged, from scattered to sharp, from sluggish to unstoppable. The culture of hustle will tell you to keep going, to grind harder, to measure worth in hours. But the science of performance, the wisdom of experience, and the proof of your own body will tell you otherwise. They will whisper, pause, reset, breathe. And when you listen, you'll discover that rest is not the enemy of results, it is the multiplier. So the next time you find yourself pushing through fog, remember this truth. Your best work doesn't come from endless effort. It comes from cycles of effort and renewal. Micro breaks are the key. They are the rhythm of resilience, the reset of clarity, the multiplier of results. Embrace them, and you'll find that the shortest breaks create the longest lasting progress.